Let's jam.
I'm so glad I said something about that. Because now you all have it in your heads, too. All right. So we are back in the city and island of Harbour Watch, now largely abandoned, save for a few thousand hyper-intelligent rodents, and our party. You got your short rest in. It's, just before noon, like late morning time. What would you like to do?
It's late morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a short rest that we did.
Yes.
Okay. I think
we introduce our new friends.
The cranium rats.
Yeah.
We do need to go back to the town, or rather where people are in the town, because I guess we're still in town, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And let them know that the cranium rats aren't a threat, to just kind of leave them be and they can coexist peacefully.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then I think we wanted to head inland towards the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So unless anyone else had anything they needed to do before we head out, I say we do that, back, and then back out.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Yeah, you short walk back to the building that's serving as a makeshift guard barracks and sleeping quarters now. It's been a couple hours since you left, and the injured halfling that you met last night, Toby Saltfoot, who Cam generously gave some magical healing to, is now back up on his feet and taking a relaxed patrol near the guard building. He sees you approach. You're back.
Yes, we had a fun little outing to the well.
Did you figure out what the light was about?
We did, and we took care of it.
Anything more you can give me than that? There's going to be people who want to know when I just say, oh, some random strangers came up and said it wasn't a problem anymore.
That's fair. Have you been briefed on Mist Glow Prism yet?
Yeah, that... No.
All right. If you should find any other glowing crystals, you should stay away from them and let somebody with advanced magical know-how deal with it.
Good to know. And that's what the glowing was?
That's what it was. There was also very powerful aberrations in there protecting it.
You would say that I have advanced magical know-how?
Well, yes. I mean, how many of these powerful things have you dispelled at this point?
2.
Learas just shoves Wade out of the picture.
I mean, and Miss, you might have saved my leg last night, if I'm being honest.
Oh, but I don't know if it's so much as I'm using my head to know these things rather than I feel them and they kind of flow through me.
The effect's the same for me either way.
If you know how to wield the magic, you know how.
I suppose you have a point.
You're our divine magic expert. Wade is our arcane magic expert, and, well, I'm just a master of blades, I suppose.
Okay, well,
There was another matter that we wanted to talk to you about.
yeah.
It's not easy to bring up. Cam, you're better at speaking than I am. Do Go for it.
Oh, a better friend.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we met. Oh, a very interesting character. And we're pretty sure that they're good.
Okay, here.
Yes. Well, this is going to sound strange, but actually, we have met a lot of friends like this along the way, so maybe it's not that strange at all. It's becoming a common occurrence for us, but we may have made friends with a swarm of rats.
With the little glowing brains.
Yes, yeah.
I told Sarah that I saw some of those. She said I was crazy.
Well, you're not crazy. Well, actually, I can't speak to whether or not you are crazy because I don't know you all that well, but
He seems reasonably sane.
they're nice and they don't intend any harm. In fact, they offer to help our party at least. And they go by Squeaker of the Swarm. Together, they are one entity, it seems.
I knew it. I knew they weren't dangerous, and I knew they were real. Sarah's never going to hear the end of this.
Well, that's good. You should spread the word that you can coexist peacefully with them. They're intelligent, sentient, free-thinking beings, and they should be respected.
I'm going to make sure to tell everybody because I'm
They're
just so happy to hear this.
They're wearing a trench coat, just so you know.
Some of them.
Yes, some of them are wearing a trench coat.
Like one big, or
the one big trench coat, filled by many of them.
It's weird. That's really weird.
Yes, but should you see that again, not a monster.
Okay.
Totally peaceful.
I can definitely see why you would think that would be, because that's what I would do. I would also think that would be a monster of some kind.
Of course, but give them the benefit of the doubt. They can speak, so...
Oh! I'm going to try talking to him.
And if there's no other need for our assistance here right now, we're going to be heading inland to make sure there's no further threat to your resettling.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good thing, actually. There's been... we've seen some, flashing lights on the horizon every so often at night. Kind of from the... I guess, in the general direction of the old road out of town.
Okay. To the northeast?
Yeah.
What color?
Wade...
Sorry.
Wade would like to try and recall the will-o-wisps and try and explain, is it similar to those sorts of lights, or are they different?
No, it's like a flash of usually just one, like a flash of white along the horizon, shortly after sunset. Doesn't happen every night.
A flash.
Yeah, like the horizon just lights up a little bit.
That is unexpected.
How long has that been happening?
I saw it myself for the first time. I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, probably about 2 months ago. Marcus has been stationed here longer than I have. He says it's been going on basically as long as anybody knows.
Have you spoken to many sailors? Is it visible from anywhere else in the bay?
We don't get a lot of sailors landing here anymore. It looks over at the docks that have mostly fallen down.
Add that to our ever-growing list of things to look at.
We're going to need some more consolidating soon.
They might all be one thing. I don't know.
And just be careful if you're going out there. It's not like it's super dangerous or anything, but there's lots of like the road that used to be out there is all overgrown now, and there's like knee-height brambles. It's kind of slow going. We don't head out that way too much. Usually just kind of keep it in town, but
I'm used to traveling the wilds. I can guide them well enough.
oh, good. It won't be a problem.
Oh, before we go anywhere, did we deliver that package to Pira Ligori?
We are from, but
From.
yes, we did.
You
From.
did, yeah.
Okay.
You
I think it
gave
was
that to
Marcus.
right when you got here.
It's the potions, if I remember correctly.
Got it. Okay. Well then.
Yeah,
Should we head out?
They handed off the potions, but then Cam used her healing magic just to save them some of that. So
Off we
more
go.
then.
What?
More adventuring
More-
then.
Yes.
Adventuring.
To the open road.
Such as it is. All right.
Learas, do you think you'll need a hand in navigating at all?
I think I'll be okay. But I mean, it's up to you.
I think Cam will help out, so.
All right. Roll me a survival check with advantage, if you please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a 26. Thank you for the advantage. It was still gonna be good, but like
Not that good.
not 20. So
All right. Yeah, you're able to track what used to be the road going out of town here. You don't suspect that at any point this was very heavily traveled, and it certainly hasn't been maintained in a very long time. Even with your expertise guiding in the wilderness, it is still a little bit slow going for your companions, just because you're walking through what is mostly loose, fairly loose sand once you get out of town. And it just that extra amount of effort to get through that slows you down a little bit. But even so, the better part of an hour and a half later, the southernmost tip of the lake becomes visible in the distance. It's probably another 20 minutes away from where you are now.
I think as we're walking, Cam is like, sand is like not fun glitter. It just gets everywhere and it doesn't look very pretty.
I'd have to disagree with you there.
I think you could make it look pretty. I mean, it's hard to think it looks pretty when it bothers you. And it's like all over your body and stuff, and in every crevice.
I mean, in inland like this is just essentially loose dirt. But on the beach, when the sun hits it just right and it sparkles with the tide rolling in over it, it's very beautiful.
So it's just a state of my mind then that's causing me to feel like this. She says that she's like dusting off some sand.
That's a very great way of putting it.
Did I just make a saying?
Wade will solemnly nod.
She takes that as enthusiastic and she's like, wow, I think hanging out with you guys every day has really started to rub off on me.
Just like the sand.
Friends are like sand. As we near the lake, I would like to be on the lookout because I'm expecting there to be something dangerous in or around or near the lake.
Is there like a lady anywhere near this lake?
Distributing swords.
That's no basis for a system of government.
Okay. Well, that's a 12.
On.
Perception.
Got it.
I guess we should be doing that, huh?
If you want. Let's say, Learas, as you're approaching the southern end of the lake, carrying on with that 26 survival, you'll recall from studying the map that the lake is much longer than it is wide. If you went corner to corner along the longest dimension, it'd be about 3 miles long, but just only barely over a mile wide at its widest point. So from here, you're not able to see the other side of the lake in the long distance, but as you're following what remains of this trail, you're able to see that it splits. One half goes around the western side of the lake, and there's another trail going along the eastern side of the lake. If you have any questions about the pros and cons and what you know of either trail, feel free to ask them.
I don't recall exactly where that marking was on the map. I know it was somewhere like in the lake. Is it closer to either east or west bank or anything?
I have the map up in D&D Beyond right now.
I've been refreshing and it's not showing for me.
Let me refresh.
Same.
It says campaign not found, or is it because I'm not logged into the right thing?
No, it just wasn't up.
It said that it was. How peculiar.
No, I got
Freaking
it.
lied to you, man.
It's pretty much, it looks like it's almost dead center and like
It's still not up for me.
a little bit further north.
Oh, maybe it is the case then.
This
Yeah,
way?
I'm in the wrong
Is it
account.
this? Oh, wrong account.
Yeah, if you are
I
not
put the link in there.
with the same account, that could be a problem.
Put that link in there if you just need.
So it's like right in the middle of the lake, pretty
More or
equal
less.
distant.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The eastern side of the lake has more trees along the trail. On the
Yeah,
right side of the trail, the other one does not.
which could give us proper cover if we want to take a rest in there.
It also seems like if we were to go east, that it would probably be less time to then go on to the next spot because
Yeah.
of the way that it curves at
You're
the
not
top.
wrong there, yeah.
East
Okay.
it is.
Let's go east.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. And you're making your destination like the closest point to the point of interest in the center of the lake.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, and I remembered that we get to use passive perception if we roll low, so a 19.
Let's see.
I'll use my passive too then, because I would. My passive's not even that good anyway. 14.
It's all right. The sun's in your eyes a little bit. It's very pretty. Yeah, so it is about another 2.5 hours to a point on the eastern edge of the lake that is, roughly as close to this point marked in the middle of the lake on the map as you can get without going into the water. As you're traversing along the side, you can start to you can, anywhere on this island you can smell the smell of salt blowing off the ocean, even further inland like you are, and that's mixing with what the smell of what's very clearly fresh water in the lake in the middle of this island. As you progress, the trees grow closer and closer to the edge of the lake, some of them even growing over and through the path that you're having to traverse, and needing to duck around and crawl around sometimes. Some branches of some of these trees dipping into the water in places. Yeah. So that perception you got was a 19,
Yes.
was it, Shanks?
Yeah, that's my passive, so.
Okay.
How you do that?
Expertise, baby.
Ah.
I'm an expert at looking.
All right, yeah, and so now you're at essentially what is the widest point of this lake. You can still see clear across it to the other side, but the far bank is starting to get a little bit occluded with just the distance.
Mm-hmm.
While you've been walking here, you haven't really encountered that much wildlife. You've seen some small creatures skitter out of your way, birds flying overhead, things like that, an occasional crab scuttling about, but nothing that would seem threatening. And yeah, you're on the edge of a lake with a point marked in the middle.
I was expecting more resistance, but perhaps it's all centralized down there.
Well, not every mark on the map that we've encountered had something immediate around it, so the will-o-wisps kind of kept to themselves.
That's true.
So we can't see anything in that general area that stands out.
It just looks like lake.
Are you guys going to go for a swim, perhaps?
That's the
It does
plan.
feel that way.
Yeah. Is there any way you'd be able to join us without being in danger?
I mean, I am a pretty strong swimmer.
It's a big lake, Cam.
But yeah, I won't be able to hold my breath for very long. But if you guys want to go check, I'm perfectly fine, capable of staying out here.
But what if we need a dispel?
Then I suppose you could come back and get me. You're very good at swimming, both of you, right?
I have a question. Does fly apply underwater?
A fly speed and a swim speed are different things.
I would say no.
But no.
I would say that it would apply above the water.
What are you going for here?
I see where
I'm
you're
just trying to figure out like I don't have any spells that allow people to breathe water. I have water walking, and I got fly, and that's about like the only, definitely not. I do not have enough spell slots to destroy all of the water in the lake. So.
Destroy this like one bucket at a time.
So that's all I got that I feel like would apply to this situation. Okay, how about we go check it out first, and then we can make a plan of action.
Sounds good. Let's go. You'll be all right here, Cam?
Yes. Could I want to try one thing though. It might be a complete waste, but you never know. Okay, I'm just gonna cast See Invisibility on herself.
What's the range on
that? The range is self, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, like the effect.
If I can...
If she can see it.
Yeah, I think if
Okay.
I guess it would. Yeah.
For
I
the
guess that makes sense.
duration, you see invisible creatures, object as if they were visible, and you can see into the ethereal plane.
Cool. What's the
On the
duration?
ethereal planes.
An hour.
An hour. Okay. Cool. Good to know. Make a perception check for me.
That would be a 17.
A 17.
There's like 30 creatures like watching us from behind the trees.
Yeah. Good to know.
You
Well,
just
hang
see
on.
her eyes kind of like the gold color that they usually are just kind of spreads out through her eyes and then like dissipates in like a sort of glint. Just because we've been dealing with a lot of invisible things, I figured maybe if I'm going to be left here alone, I should be able to see them.
And you said you
Sure.
don't cast intelligently. That's very smart thinking.
I guess it's more like it feels like a survival sort of thing that kicks in. Not so much a strategy.
It's a
So
compliment.
Oh, thank you, Learas.
And thank you, Wade.
What would we do without our mediator?
They ever get into a relationship, Wade's gonna have to still hang around with them.
Third wheel them constantly.
This relationship only works with a third wheel.
Yeah.
Like a tricycle. All right, well, let's go for a swim then. What's your swimming speed, Wade?
Features and traits. Species, traits, speed, swimming speed. It's just walking speed, so 30 feet.
Okay, so we'll go the same pace then. Do you want to be like dashing?
You guys both are
I
really
am
dashing.
Yeah, we can put on our like fancy swimsuits and like.
Yeah, we can speed swim.
Just briskly.
All right. Yeah, and you're heading out towards the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
I
It's
will
about-
cast mage armor.
Mm.
Unless
Is-
is that still
That should
effective?
It's 8 hours, right? So it should.
Okay, it's still effective. Okay.
Yeah, you should still have it up if you cast it before.
He did, I remember. We were all impressed he did it before he got hit.
I think while they do that, just in case, Cam is going to ritual cast Leomund's tiny hut near the water somewhere.
Clever. Good thinking.
And you can ask Leoman to let you in.
Well,
All right. Yeah, you swim out towards the middle of the lake. It is the water is fairly warm. It's still getting into fall, but it's still hot from having the summer sun having shone down on it for the whole season. Hasn't had quite the chance to cool off yet. And as you're going, the bottom of the lake bed sort of, tapers down slowly like you would expect it to, but maybe we'll say something like 500 feet from where you would expect the center of the lake to be, it just all of a sudden turns and plunges straight down into a depth that goes beyond the range of your dark vision.
We're gonna have to ask that guy how he found this one, because this is like the well I can understand. But then he just went swimming in the lake and saw that it went down and swam way below where he should reasonably be swimming.
Bit of, divination, perhaps.
That's fair. I guess I don't think about magic in terms of like how you find things. It's never been my way.
Are you
Over down.
following the lake floor or sort of swimming near the surface? How we doing this 3-dimensional movement here?
I mean, there's no risk to us being underwater, so we may as well just like be going diagonally down shortest path.
Cool. Yeah. Then if you're a little bit closer to the bottom, you don't quite have the vantage point to see how big this is, but it looks from the edge that you can see, this hole in the middle of the lake looks fairly cylindrical.
Down the rabbit hole?
Does it look unnaturally cylindrical?
I'm gonna say do a nature check with advantage.
Okay.
You spent a lot of time underwater.
Oh shit, I got another 20 every time I get advantage.
Nice.
But that makes it a 23.
There are some formations that look like this. It is not perfectly cylindrical. It is not like a polished, smooth tunnel.
Mm.
You would have to say that this, looking now, like remembering some of the features that you saw on the way out here on the bed of this lake, even covered up with silt and sand as they are, some things start to click into place, and you think this has a lot in common with an impact crater.
Hmm.
It's way, for how deep it is, you would think it would be wider than this, but some of the general topology and like there's some wrinkling of the lake bed kind of in the concentric rings around it.
Interesting. Does it have the appearance of being like recent or
No.
no, so like the edges are pretty rounded out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's at least something that this crater didn't come about recently. Let's head down.
All right. And you swim down and down and down, and you're probably 200-300 feet down at this point, and at first it looks like you're coming on again a bubble of air underneath this lake, but then it's that the mixing of salt and fresh water floating on top of it again. You can see that you're approaching another halicline here, and if you keep punching through that, you'll be in salt water, which is fine. You can swim in that. Keep going.
Yep.
All right. You go through that, and there's also a stark temperature differential when you pass through. It gets very cold.
I'm okay with that.
Fine for Learas, and it's slightly acidic.
His gills are like going like, does it seem sour here?
I'll take another perception check for me.
Like you guys are swimming in buble.
I seriously got a 20 again. I don't know what's happening. The luck's balancing out, but it's all in like just looking at things. So that's a 29.
All right, well,
Those ones will come around when it's time to combat.
Yeah.
You can see, maybe it's kind of hard to identify how far down it is, since it's beyond the range of your dark vision from here, but there is a tiny, faintly visible glowing light from somewhere further down.
Does it seem purplish?
It does not.
Ooh.
It seems like kind of a bluish white, like a cool white.
Is it stationary?
It seems to be, yeah.
Just stumbled upon someone's house with fluorescent lighting.
Yeah.
It's a pineapple.
Yeah, there's just a lamp on a pineapple. I mean, we should probably go check that out, right?
Yes. Should we... I don't know how far we should go before letting Kim know.
Well, we haven't really found anything yet.
It hasn't been that long anyway, right? You know, it's
Not really. Maybe
If-
half an
all
hour.
right.
If you're more comfortable, you're welcome to hang back a little bit. I know you don't like to get in the fray of things.
Thankfully, you know, I'd knock on a piece of wood, but there's nothing.
Piece of driftwood just floating by somehow. What the hell?
Let's check it out. It
Okay. Yeah, we're
said
gonna.
it's not.
All right.
Well, you said it's not purplish, so I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, who knows what it is this time?
Cool. Yeah, you keep going down, and it kind of hard to get a good grasp on how deep you are at this point. The surface has since faded, and you know you're working just on dark vision. There's not a lot of light down here.
Mhm.
But after a time, you suddenly, you know, coming into your dark vision, there is what is very clearly identifiable as the roof of a incredibly large structure with some small cracks in the ceiling where a faint amount of light is leaking through. It's not flickering like firelight or anything like that.
Do I recognize the architecture of this? Does this look like Triton construction?
I'll say you are fairly certain that this is not of Triton construction. Make a history check for me. Why not?
Okay. I honestly, I don't know what's happening.
Are these? Did you get this man loaded dice?
Is this new dice?
No, it's my metal D20.
Then no, those ones were shit before, so I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It, you know what? It's this bracelet my daughter made me. That's probably
Hmm.
what's doing it.
I
That's
didn't
what's doing
notice
it.
that.
So that's a 23.
Yeah, there are. It's hard to say who specifically built this, like what specific people. There are some architectural elements that are similar to Alvatende's castle.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, now I'm very curious. We have to take a closer look at this. And Learas is gonna swim right up to the crack
I was like, why is he giggling?
and look inside.
Are you familiar with? Is there anything like a water giant?
I know of frost giants. I've never heard of a water giant. Although storm giants, I suppose, would be connected to water in some capacity.
I guess if you said this is like an impact crater, it probably would be. You know, it wouldn't be an impact crater if they were naturally. from the water.
Perhaps it's a tower like hers that fell out of the sky.
What do we see beyond the crack?
Let's see. I gotta count something here.
Oh no, he's counting enemies.
15, 16, 17,
One baby
18,
giant,
19,
two baby
20.
giant.
Yeah, so this is do you just go immediately for the crack, or do you survey the outside a little bit more first?
I mean, I'm definitely paying attention to what's going on as I get closer, but
Okay. Yeah. So just on the scale of this thing and the length of your dark vision, you're not quite sure how big this is, but this is a much more complex structure than Elvatende's flying tower. This is, a series of interconnected rooms and domes. It looks like you're able to see one very large central room, which is honestly probably about 200 feet across, enormous dome with several smaller ones kind of flanking it in a half circle. And yeah, you enter in through. Now you can see there are a few places where some of the walls have collapsed with time. It doesn't look like this building fell out of the sky.
fair enough.
If you swim all the way down to the bottom, it is not crumpled, or if it did, it did a pretty good job surviving the landing.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, so you swim in. You just peeking in, or are you swimming in?
I mean, I'd like to peek first,
Sure. Yeah, just roll a d20 for me to see, because there's a bunch of different places you could enter. Unless you have one in mind, we'll just pick one at random.
Okay, so the streak has ended. It's a 4.
Just a straight d20. Just
Yeah.
a 4? Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll pick that one. So, excuse me. You can see now that you get closer, there is what looks like large, 5 large crystalline structures in that sort of bluish white color, just standing in the middle of this room, glowing individually ever so faintly, but the 5 of them together bright enough to provide dim lighting in this area. They're about 10 feet across, 20 feet high each. 2 of them have been shattered at some point, but the other 3 are still standing and sort of faintly crackling with a dim arcane light.
Does this are these orbs, are they reminiscent of things we've seen in Elvatende's fortress?
They're not. They are more reminiscent of the Mistglow prism in structure, but they're not that strange purpley color.
What?
And you said 2 of them are cracked, like broken?
Yeah.
And we've destroyed 2 of these crystals?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean,
You've dispelled 2 of them, yeah.
Interesting. Wade, what do you make of this?
Well, correlation is not always causation.
Correct. What do you make of all this?
There's a giant structure in the middle of a lake. It's very different, that's for certain. You said it's sort of like Elvatende's.
Some of the architectural elements and the scale, now that you've swum further, swam, whatever, swimmed.
Swim.
That's That's swimmed is definitely wrong, so I'm gonna use that one. This is definitely like built. You can see a door. There's a 30-foot tall door. This is built for giants.
Hmm.
I'm not as familiar with different creatures, so I'm not sure if a creature would have built this. I mean, if this is like in the middle of an impact crater, you know, it's sort of like it's just there's a lot of weird things about it.
Yeah.
And it's my brain is having trouble trying to like all these things are not fitting together in my head right now.
Yeah. These things are like, are they connected to anything like mechanical? Anything that, you know, of a magical nature?
So say we'll keep your perception check from before. They're not connected to anything mechanical in nature, and they themselves appear to be, you know, pretty inherently magical.
There's no like, I don't know, especially from a Learas perspective of not like he has some magic, so he gets it, but at the same time, not being studied in it. There's like no runes drawn around them or anything, like nothing that's pointing to something being connected to them in some way.
If there are, that's not anything that you can see. The ground in here is covered with a fine layer of silt, so it would be covering up anything like that. And some of the surfaces of the crystal too have like, you know, various shellfish growing on them, and it looks like they've been here for a very long time.
I would like to get a closer look. And Learas goes ahead and swims into the room.
We're going to pop back to the surface just for a second to see how Cam's doing. See if there's anything.
How long has it been?
It's been now about somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour.
Okay, Cam is like sitting in the dome. She has her I mean, assuming that she's not being attacked by anything.
She's not currently being attacked by anything.
She's sitting in the dome. She has her weapon kind of splayed out across her lap, and she's dividing her attention between like trying to see if there's anything on the surface level of the lake, like them popping up, and then like looking back at where the forest is behind her. Just kind of fidgety and whatnot as she waits for them.
Make another perception check for me.
15.
Okay. Roger that. And then smash cut, water washes over the camera. We're back down under the water at the bottom of the trench.
Oh, that would make a great transition for this stream. Call Kaz.
All right. Learas, you were venturing in?
Yeah.
You do so. You pass through the outside wall of this chamber. You can see it's this chamber's about 80 feet across, roughly cylindrical, 60 feet from floor to ceiling, faint layer of silt on the floor. There is a large door to the northeast. It looks in pretty good shape. But apart from that, an occasional passing fish, there's not a lot of activity in here besides you and these large crystals.
Could cast Identify on these crystals. It's be a ritual cast, so it would take a bit time, but
I have time.
I think if it gets to like near an hour and a half, she's gonna maybe cast Ascending just to check.
We did. While he's working on ritually casting that, I'm gonna first swim down to the floor and try to like swim down quickly and kind of like spread the water out, kind of thing, trying to push away silt, see if there's anything on the floor that it might recognize.
Yeah, you can. You spread some of the silt away, and it kicks up and obscures your vision for a minute, but it does eventually settle out enough for you to see the floor underneath it. And there is what looks like it was once a masterfully crafted mosaic floor. You can't quite tell what it's depicting, but you can see from all the like tiny different pieces of colored tile very specifically arranged, there is something going on down here.
Fair enough. Well, it's definitely something.
I mean, you cleared out a space like this big of the floor of a cylindrical chamber 100 feet across.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Is that door you mentioned open?
It is not open.
Does it have a giant-sized keyhole?
It doesn't appear to have a keyhole.
I don't want to interrupt his ritual if there is anything on the other side, but I do want to try to like stealthily take a peek if I can move the door a little bit.
Yeah. You're make a stealth check for me just for fun.
It's a 16.
Cool. You go to pull this door open, expecting it to be very heavy and difficult to pull. And it's not. It glides silently with great ease as you try to open it. Like you're kind of expecting to have to yank it a little bit before it gives and starts to move, but as soon as you just apply any pressure to it,
that's pretty good construction, I gotta say.
Going. And you open it just enough to like peek through?
Yeah, I just want to take a peek, see what's on the other side.
What is on the other side is a conspicuous lack of water. As you open this door, you recognize that you're looking through water into air, but when you open the door, the water doesn't go rushing in. It's being held at bay somehow.
Yeah, that's absolutely freaking wild, especially when you consider that the door was easy to open, the pressure differential alone. That's insane. I literally don't know what to make of that, and I'm just gonna close it for now and then wait for Wade's ritual to end so I can be like, this place crazy.
All right. Yeah, 10 minutes go by. Your ritual goes off, and you understand these to be items that were referred to, roughly translated from the giant's tongue, as the lightning archive. These crystals contain knowledge and like historical records put here by the people that created this place. And you can attempt to access information in them by putting your hand on them, and if you do it right, you functionally what'll happen, to take it into game mechanics for a moment, there is a chance that it won't work and may discharge some lightning from it. But if it does work, you can query the archive as if casting the commune spell, communing with the archive and whatever it knows.
Select star from archive. If anybody, not sequel, not query.
I don't know that one. And a creature can commune with each archive once a day.
Is would his identify reveal that this is like some kind of intelligence saving throw or something, or anything like that?
The identify will reveal that it is old and a little bit damaged and maybe doesn't work so good, and it's a little bit random.
It's not part of like the intended functionality.
Right.
Okay.
For a point of clarity, a creature can interact with them once a day. Does that mean that like one creature gets like a turn each, or like they can only be accessed once a day?
Each creature can use each one
once a day. Okay.
And like if you know, if Wade talks to one and Learas talks to another, they can both talk to the same. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, Wade, you're the brains here. Go ahead and talk to it.
So you're able to query the archive, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what to ask.
That's fair. You're right. Maybe we should discuss this as a group, but we really need to get Cam down here. And I can't think of a safe way to do that.
I'm not really. I don't have any spells for that.
Also,
she'll just go down. Hear me out. She'll go down. Every time she gets close to like passing out, she'll just cast a healing word on herself. She'll just die a bunch of times. It's fun.
The healing word doesn't give you air back.
Yeah, I know.
What's Cam's constitution modifier?
I mean, it's not
3.
30, right? It took us half an hour to
hold your
swim
breath
down
for
here.
4 minutes.
Also,
It only took us like an hour to get down here.
Beyond
that was
that,
from the shore, though. If you're going just straight down from the surface of the lake, it'd be a lot faster.
the corridor beyond that door there is dry.
Okay, so should we go back and discuss with Cam?
That's probably for the best.
I'll say, Cam, at this point, it's been about an hour and a half.
Okay. Then I think Wade, you hear. Wade, I'm gonna come to as one. Are you guys all right down there? Should I come after you? You can reply.
What is it? 20, whatever
25.
words. 25. Wade will say, we are on our way back to discuss what we saw with you, or what we saw. You know, yeah, I'll say what we saw with you because that's what came into his head.
All right. You get silence back.
All right. Are you checking out the dry room before you go, or just bouncing?
Was it just a room? It was one single room?
Your dark vision didn't clear the other side of it when you peeked in. You would gather from what you saw on the way down. You're in the large central dome.
Right.
Into that.
Maybe there's a lever in the room that you can just drain all the lake water and Cam can just come down there.
I do. Would you mind taking a look in here real quick with me?
Sure.
Because I don't understand how this room is remaining as it is, and he just pulls the door open.
Then you see what's described. The water is holding there as though the door was still in place, but it is clearly an open room on the other side.
If I had to guess, I feel like it would probably be some form of abjuration magic, perhaps.
Possibly. But what purpose is only this one shielded from the water? And I'd like to look around and go,
Yeah. You step into the room and it reeks in here. And in fact, I'm going to need you to make a Constitution saving throw. Anybody that enters this air.
19.
It nauseates you a little bit, but you're able to.
20.
You're
Ooh.
both, slightly nauseated by this smell, but lunch stays firmly where it's supposed to.
It smells a little bit acidic, so
Yeah.
Wade is able to hold his stomach a little better.
What died in here?
That's also my thought.
But it's hard to tell how long this room's been sealed up. As far as you walk around the room, nothing immediately jumps out as the source of the smell. It could just be 1,000 years of stale air and seawater and anything like that. But one thing that becomes apparent to Wade in particular, as you're walking through here, is the center of this room is occupied with an enormous magical circle of some description. It's probably about 70 or 80 feet across, with an open center about 30 feet across. Pretty big thing. There's not a lot in here in terms of furniture or anything like that, or decor. There are some carvings on the walls. There are some things that look like they could hold like torches or candles or some sort of light source on each of the pillars around the outside of the room, but they're unlit at this time. And there's another door leading to the north and another one leading to the west.
Are you able to determine the purpose of this magic circle?
Immediately.
You can try with an Arcana check. It'll be a little challenging.
What's a 13?
With a 13, you're not really sure specifically what it does. There's some runes that make you think it's got something to do with transmutation.
Transmutation, maybe.
You think this is maybe just what's keeping the water at bay?
I'd say even with the 13, you were correct to suspect abjuration for holding the water away.
This feels like it'd be a bit much just to hold the water.
It looks like, just knowing what you know about magic circles, you don't know what this one does, and it's a lot bigger, obviously, than any one that you would make. But it looks like this is designed for a creature to sit in the center of it and do something.
Yes, but what? And if it's transmutation, it's not like a teleportation circle, so what the hell?
Maybe it's just like a giant magical toilet.
I suppose. Or perhaps it's the seat from which they control the other parts of the structure.
Oops.
I mean, you could ritual identify it again if you wanted to.
What does that take? 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
we can. It won't make that big of a time difference. 10 minutes, and then we have more information to discuss as a group.
Right.
So you take the 10 minutes.
That's what it looks like.
The Wade just stands exactly like this for 10 minutes. So this is this runic circle, a creature sitting and meditating inside of the runic circle. It will require a great deal of focus, which will translate into a fairly difficult Arcana check. But a creature sitting in a circle meditating for 10 minutes can tap into the power of this circle to create the effects of either the control weather spell or the control water spell, or both simultaneously. And it affects the area like immediately above, centered immediately above this circle for like a radius of 10 miles for 8 hours, requiring no concentration.
There you go. Water slide. Whee!
Wait, so theoretically, you could control the water and allow safe passage down?
You could, if you were
Yes.
able to tune into the circle.
I'd like to point out that Wade has an inspiration, just in case he tries to make a difficult check.
And it controls out to 10 miles.
That is the effective. It's still, so the control water aspect of it still functions as the spell control water,
I see.
but the range becomes 10 miles instead of 300 feet.
And it's not something he can like activate and leave.
Oh, yeah.
He can?
Yeah, once it goes off, it takes 10 minutes to try and get it to go off, and then once it goes off, it is going for 8 hours without concentration.
I think you should make passage for Cam, and then we'll go and meet up with her and
I can certainly try.
All right.
I'll just roll Arcana twice.
Yeah. If you have any, Learas, if you've got anything that you can do to help in any way, so this is going to be a DC 20 Arcana check to get this to fire.
Nope.
I don't
Nope,
think I
nope.
have anything that can help with that. Not unless you want to be hunters marked.
No, that's an 18 was the first roll and an 11 for the second one.
Rough. Yeah, so you sit down there for 10 minutes and start focusing on it, and you see some of the runes start to light. And, you know, the magic starts to form and take shape, but you're not able to keep control of it, and it sort of fizzles back down to nothing.
You know, another option, because it took us, an hour and some time to get here?
Yeah.
If you go back, that gives me more time to try.
That's true.
I'm realizing Cam wouldn't. It's not possible for her to use this thing.
Yeah, okay. You keep at it, and I'll go let her know what we found, and Learas will swim back as fast as he can.
All right. Dashing and
Right,
all
should,
that.
Yeah.
should I just roll this like 6 times or something?
Roll
I'm
it
gonna
till
say
you get it.
over the course of an hour, you'll be able to, like, you're a wizard. This is sort of your thing. Over the course of an hour, you will be able to figure this out, how to make it work. Right. Learas, you zip back to shore.
Yeah. Yeah, he just right out of the water, landing
Like
on
a
his feet.
dolphin.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello? she comes out of her little dome thing and she's like,
Oh.
"So, I was told that you guys would be right back. It's been..."
It's probably about 8 o'clock by now.
It was a lot further down than we thought it was going to be, and we found something immediately after talking to you that was worth looking at. Wade found a way to control all of this water.
Like, he has the knowledge now to control the water.
No, he has a magic circle inside a structure we found, built by giants, I assume, at least giant-sized people.
I didn't know there were any giants that lived underwater.
That was also a topic of our discussion. But they're magically advanced, their doors are 30 feet tall, and there are parts of it that look similar to Alvatinde's fort.
Oh, so we're just going to go down there and then what?
Explore. There's a huge structure, many structures, in fact, all interconnected.
Oh, okay. And when he does the controlling of the water, I should be fine to wander around?
I really don't know how it's going to work when it works. I trust that he's going to figure it out. But there is a door that blocks the water from coming through even when you open it.
Oh, well, that is handy.
It's really cool. I've never seen anything like it. Of course, my people would have no need to do that, but...
Oh, that is... Maybe if you were to have visitors sometime, that would come in handy.
I suppose.
No, like visitors like me. I wouldn't be able to come and see your house because I wouldn't be able to breathe.
That's true. I wanted to ask you about that. Is it not possible to ask your father for the ability to breathe underwater?
Well, I'm a little bit confused about that, to be honest, because last I spoke to him, he kind of insinuated that my powers don't come from him, but rather me, sort of. So I'm not exactly sure, but I might be able. Maybe next time I speak to him. It's been a while now.
All right.
It was just one of those situations where it seemed like a really cool thing to say, and so I didn't question him too much.
All right. Well, it's not important now anyway. We've got a way to get in. So he's going to lead her into the water. What does this look like when he creates passage?
So that's a good question. Wade, this lets you simultaneously control weather and or control water. You can do either or both.
So my question is, it's like a radius of 10 miles, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does this grant me some, like, I don't believe it grants me the ability to, like, see all the water within the radius of 10 miles.
That is correct. It does not do
So,
that.
Wade will interpret this as, well, in order for me to control the water where Cam will be, I need to start swimming up out of the room.
So you
And then-
could, I'll say you would know that you don't need to see the water to control it. Depending on how good Wade's mental map is, you may be able to just remember where the water was.
I remember there was water above.
It's up there.
It's up there somewhere, several hundred feet of water. Yeah, so what? There's the part water, which is probably what we're looking at.
Someone's drinking water somewhere and it just gets sucked from their cup.
So we'll just like part like maybe like a 10, 20 foot and like slowly move it down until the top of the structure.
Yeah. So you're standing by the edge of the lake, kind of waiting for something to happen, and then the waves is kind of near the shore. The gentle, they're very tiny waves, but they sort of stop and just run back out to the center as a divot appears in the top of the water.
I think that's us.
Is it like a straight down situation or an incline? Like what?
I guess that's up to Wade a little bit.
From what he said, I think he's like basically making like a bubble for us to swim on the surface all the way down.
Just like a straight drop
Okay.
from the center.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
Cam's gonna start swimming, I guess. Leaving a trail of glitter behind her as she sand and glitter.
Yeah. With Learas' assistance, no swimming check will be necessary for Cam. And is a little bit slower going again. Those surface dwellers without a swim speed. But yeah, you're able to get out to the center of the lake and sort of swim down this chasm cylinder, now column of air in the middle of the lake. It gets, having part a lot of the water, there's some of the moonlight that's able to reach down in there, providing very dim illumination, but any of you without dark vision won't be blinded. Not that it really matters with the Twilight Cleric thing.
Yeah, but I used it already today.
Right.
So I can't give it to anybody again. Yeah, so Cam is going to go down. Then what happens when we get down to like the space? Am I coming in through the top and there's like a pocket of air that I gotta drop down through, or am I just like being gently?
You could come down through the top and jump if you wanted to. There are also some cracks in the wall on the ground. If you descend all the way to the ground, you could walk in through the side of the building.
Okay. I'll just walk in then.
And you enter into this archive, for lack of a better word, with these gigantic crystals in the middle of the room scattered about.
This is very strange. Which is strange for me to say something that is strange at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, well, it gets stranger. Those orbs are apparently knowledge.
Well, it's not orbs, it's very large crystalline, like crystals growing out of the ground.
I see, sorry. Yeah, those crystals are knowledge. You can apparently interface with the building? I don't know.
The Lightning Archive. I mean, maybe it's
You're in
called
the other room.
I don't need to be sitting here the entire time. You think I was just sitting there once I get
He
finished up?
comes in.
Well,
Lightning
you do to
archive.
be moving it, don't you?
Mm-mm.
No? Oh.
No.
Oh, okay.
Once it's going, it's going.
He
You
just
set and
like
forget.
Kuzco's the door open, Lightning Archive.
I see that you're learning a flair for dramatics like an F when he enters rooms. Well, what does that mean exactly? You can just get any sort of knowledge, or is it like limited knowledge on something?
It's, that's a good question. I didn't want to just like exhaust a use of it without,
Then I'm glad that I didn't come down here first, because that's exactly what I would have done.
Now it's
like, what
limited
do
to
I even ask?
it's
right?
limited to one interaction, but that doesn't necessarily mean one question, right? Like
Correct.
you can connect with it and ask as many questions as you like.
You may ask 3 questions.
It's a
You
genie.
can maybe
Ask it
ask
for
it
stuff.
3 questions.
Well,
Um,
do we know if these are connected to the other crystals? Maybe that's a good question.
That is a good question. They're a different color, and they seem to be user-friendly.
Or who was here?
Yes.
Or if I could learn how to breathe water.
That one, maybe not.
Oh, okay.
no, I was actually thinking about that. If there was although I suppose that circle in there is one way of doing it, of helping you get up and down here. So we should ask if there's a connection between this structure and the Mistglow prism.
I think so. I think that's worth asking. But if they're different, there's different archives. So are there categories or something? Like, do they have different levels of knowledge? Like,
That's
Cam
the
is
answer to
going
that
to.
question. You do not know.
yeah.
We'll take Lightning Archives for 500.
Cam is just going to touch one. She's gonna go like that.
There's no way she's passing the save.
Could you roll a d10 for me, please, Fix?
A D10.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I got my water theme dice here.
Oh,
I
nice.
figure it's appropriate for this. That's a 10.
Nice. Yeah. So Cam, you put your. How are you describe what it looks like as Cam puts her hand on this crystal?
She's listening to them go back and forth, and then she just very casually goes like she can't help herself but just place a hand on there.
Yeah, Cam, your eyes kind of go white, and this crystal flares brightly, and Cam, you understand that it is waiting for you to ask it a question.
What sorts of knowledge do you have?
I mean, it's fair. It's a fair question.
Yeah. And without any sort of particular language being used to convey this information to you, you understand that all of these crystals, all 5 of them in their entirety, contains the collected knowledge of an ancient empire of storm giants.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are like talking and you notice that Cam's eyes have gone white.
You definitely know the crystal. Notice the crystal flare. It gets properly illuminated in here.
Oh,
They seem to have knowledge from an ancient empire of storm giants. She goes,
That sort of aligns with Elvatinde, does it not?
she is a storm giant. Though I don't know if she's directly connected to this place. Ask it if it knows the name Calxus.
do you know the name Calxus?
You wait for a moment. Oh,
She just goes, wait, I don't want to just know if you know the name. What do you know about Calxus?
You receive the sense of search term not found.
Search term not found.
All right. That's at least a relief. What about Mistglow Prism? What does it know about that?
What do you know about Mistglow Prism? Or I think also it's called Omerite.
Yes.
Yes.
The term Mistglow Prism, it doesn't react to when you say, but when you refer to Omerite, it starts giving you information back about this crystal. The properties of Omerite, it can be used to contain and store and channel magical energy of many different kinds. With the proper enchantments, it can be turned into a structure like this, where it's storing memories and information. It was sort of a all-purpose, multi-use component material of a lot of magic that the giants did thousands of years ago, based off of your reckoning, based off of what this information is telling you, to command and control the nature of the terrain around them. They could use these crystals. They'd put these crystals in places and perform rituals that would allow them to terraform, to create and modify the land to serve their purposes at vast scales.
She's like saying all of this as it's coming out, probably not as like, probably a little bit more dumbed down in the language.
When it's telling her that they do this with the crystals, is it referring to their storm giants?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think did they create? She's just like going through half thoughts. Have these always been here and we just...
Ask the crystal, maybe.
Have these always been here?
So on the finishing of your third question, this crystal fades back to the dull amount of light it was illuminating. On asking about Omerite was number 3.
Oh, yeah. Then her eyes go back to like normal. Oh, that was very weird.
Good questions. Good questions.
Yeah, we found out a lot there. That was very informative.
The giants terraformed the land around. They made this place, you think? using these
possibly.
crystals?
I don't see why not. If we've seen them enhance magic again and again, obviously they've got untold power behind them.
And that makes sense with how Wade was able to use them. If they're able to control different kinds of energy, and Wade was trying to use a certain type of magic at the time, kind of amplified that.
It's like Mystical Prism or Omerite is a lot more dangerous than I originally thought. Like, given like how powerful they've been able to make use of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
this one seems different, though. I wonder if there's like good Omerite and bad Omerite, or if someone's doing something to make it.
It's a tool. It's a tool like any other. A sword can save a family under attack, and it can slaughter a village in the wrong hands.
I feel like the
Learas
Omerite.
Learas is right away touching. His curiosity has gotten the best of him. And he touches the same crystal that Cam was using.
Roll a d10 for me.
6.
Yeah, the connection establishes and it awaits your query.
Is Omerite naturally occurring?
The so the only known naturally occurring sources of Omerite are sourced from the Feywild. Must be mined there.
And Albatinde has a portal to the Feywild in her tower. See, it's all coming together now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like my dad used to say. If you're having troubles, just take a swim. It'll clear everything up.
Good advice.
Is there a way to manufacture Omerite on the material plane?
Yeah, and you get kind of a dump of information about various attempts to transmute other locally found crystals into Omerite, but none of that research was met with great success. There are some kinds of crystals that you can get to behave similarly, but not anywhere near on the scale of utility, general flexibility as the real deal.
I wonder, does it remember who has interacted with it?
That's a good question. Provide me logs of who's accessed this the what was it called, the Lightning Archive, in the past 10 years. I don't know.
Okay.
Your mind just gets flooded with names. Make a wisdom saving
I'm
throw.
hoping that with it being underwater and in ruin, most people don't know it.
Just
You know,
thousands of fish.
Come up here every day.
No. There is an image of one individual. Just one.
and
It is
does it just provide
Jacob
an image?
Amatha.
Dash.
Damn.
What was your question again?
Provide logs of who accessed it in the last 10 years.
Jacob
Good.
Hamatha?
Jacob Amatha.
Amatha.
You recognize as the Archmage of Divination.
And he was the one that...
He gave us all of this information, didn't he? No. It was
No,
still
Jacob
it was
Amoth. It was the
Fullbarrow.
other
Okay.
Fullbarrow.
Yeah,
Jacob
Jacob
Amatha is
Amatha.
the one who
It was
told us that the robe was
was what's his name? Diabol's.
Lynn's.
Lynn's.
Yeah.
So
So he couldn't be trusted. He fucking lied. Learas is just losing his mind. He's like, I will cut that guy down. Like,
Did you say that out loud?
Yeah. I told you it felt too convenient.
Where is the... Oh yeah, he was the one who had the peninsula named after his family.
He knows way more than he's told us. He knows everything that's going on here. He's accessed this. He knows about the crystals. He knows who's behind this. It's probably him.
Murder him. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's my third question on this one. So maybe Wade can take over after a short intermission.
On that revelation, I think that's a great time to go on a break while they think about what other questions they might want to ask the big rock at the bottom of the lake. We're back. They've been very busy coming up with questions to ask while I've been very busy squirting myself in the eye with lime juice. So
As you do.
we're gonna go do their thing instead of my thing, because my thing sucked. All right.
But you don't like squirting?
Not lime juice anyway. But to each their own, I suppose.
Oh, if you're resistant to acid, it's not so bad.
There you go. That's fair. We rejoin the party in the now devoid of water Lightning Archive. The ancient storm giant empire.
Cam, do you remember that transmuter stone?
Oh, the pretty rock that I found.
Yes, the one that would be useful in this situation should the archives.
You
act
think
out.
it'll shock you?
Well, they are damaged, so due to have been lucky so far to have not been shocked by asking it questions.
I have been feeling fairly lucky since we went to that tavern, so she's going to pass you the stone.
So Wade will grasp the stone in one hand and reach out to the archives to query them.
Give me that D10.
right? What do we got? We get to number 8.
Hey! You may submit your query without being shocked.
What questions has Jacob Amatha asked of the archives?
Damn, Adam.
Well, that's everything, DM.
Yeah. So you get you get the general sort of information that he was asking about. Actually, I'm going to roll something for this. Okay. He was asking a lot of questions about Omerite, which you could have probably suspected as much. And the thing I think that it dumps back out that was maybe the most unexpected is he was asking some questions about rituals involving necromancy and transmutation. It was like querying it for spell formulas, essentially.
Interesting.
And are you like relaying this as you get the information? Cam kind of just looks at Learas. Well, do you think maybe Jacob... Oh. Well, I was going to say maybe they're working together, but if he's trying to make it seem like Flynn's doing all of this stuff.
Yes. As I said back at the hall, I think that it's too cleanly pointing to him. I think that he has no awareness of what's going on.
So Wade is like thinking about every instance of transmutation that we've come across. Right. There was an instance where there was transmutation aura.
There was also those undead-looking creatures that have been mutated away from being pure Ettins.
Roxel.
Yeah. And
Sort of
that the tree that came out of Broxel's place spat out undead.
All sort of coming together, isn't it? What else do we want to ask? Merc, what can you tell us about the Merc?
It's just silence in response. It does not respond to that term.
Did we have another term for it from further back?
Not a proper one.
No, I know we have like our stupid one.
The Merc was the oldest term they used for this.
We've just talked to so many people about so many things at this point.
What about the poem that we found? It referenced a lady, but we couldn't figure out who that was.
No, that was Calxus, wasn't it?
That's what I thought.
That's what you thought. You suspected for a moment that it could be Alvatende, but then rapidly discarded that and were like, this is probably Calxus. But there wasn't ever any confirmation that you were right in that.
Was that what Alvatende... Did Alvatende say that was Calxus?
I don't believe so. You got Riven to translate it originally. Oh, you know what? She may have suspected that, actually. Yes, you're right. She did suspect that it was referring to Calxus.
And we do trust Riven and Alvatende.
I wish I knew what to ask in this moment.
I'm like rapidly going through my notes, like, what could we ask this?
I mean, ask about the annex. It's old enough, it might know something.
Special projects annex information.
He's just punching in search terms now.
Could you please phrase your question in the form of a question?
What can you tell me about the special projects annex?
Gotta line up my timelines here. It does not seem to know anything about the location you're referring to.
Well, that was 3 questions.
Now everybody's talked to this one today.
We all shuffle over to the next person.
Wade will wave around the transmitter stones like, who wants to try next?
Sure. And she's going to take it. And she places her hand on this one. I assume I got to roll for that.
Yep.
That was a D10?
Yep.
A 6.
You're good.
I think I know what's going on here.
Tell me,
she's-
Prithee, please.
She's gonna place her hand on. She goes, what can you tell me about the elf Amir?
What can I tell you about the elf Amir?
Who was that again?
Elvatende mentioned Vamir when we released her. I think he was in charge of Fort Oss a long time ago, allied himself with the necromancy that conquered the port. Is what I have in my notes.
Got it.
Yep. It doesn't know much about the elf named Vamir, but it does tell you. It's good that you asked in the last 10 years, because if you had asked on a longer scale, Vamir has accessed this archive at some point.
This.
Mhm.
She like kind of tilts her head.
It was roughly 300 years ago.
Oh, Vamir has been here.
Before the war.
Yeah, I think so. I don't suppose that asking it the same question we asked about Jacob would wield any immediate information for us.
Probably not. It's not a bad idea to keep that question in mind, but that would be about the things that happened during the war, and what's happening now is different from what Alvatinde's told us.
This does tell us that, oh, actually, you were very specific in your wording. Did this one also, that would be another question, though. She's trying to figure out if these have different information, because we asked about Jacob on that other one. This one we asked about Vamir.
I will say, in this brief image you get of this, you know, even 300 years ago, Vamir was very old as an elf. You see him accessing one of the crystals that now lies shattered.
Oh, okay, so they are kind of connected.
Ask it when those crystals shattered.
When did the other two crystals shatter?
They shattered at different times. One of them shattered at some point that would correspond to shortly after the war 200 years ago, and one of them was even shattered when Vamir was accessing it. So some, roughly, I would say, between 700 and 1,000 years ago.
Seems like a long time ago.
Okay. Well, at least we can rule out that these are inherently connected to the problematic ones. That's good information to have.
Hmm. Should I ask it if... Oh, actually, no. I don't think that's a good one. Should I ask it about the creature? Do you think it knows anything about that?
I think that's too recent.
Creature?
In the straits.
The crab?
No, my creature. The one in the Narrows that I'm trying to kill. But that hasn't been there for long enough, I don't think, for it to know anything unless Jacob told it about it.
We don't even know what specifically is in the Narrows causing the issue.
Okay, it told us that you can't manufacture this here. You could transmute something close. And it said that the only naturally occurring is in the Feywild, yet we have these large crystals here that are clearly forming from something. Can it be grown out of an existing shard? And if so, how?
Oh yeah, you mean like... How... she's going to say... If you already have Omerite, can it spread and grow?
Again, it dumps out a summary of some research that was being conducted on how to, exploring that line, and that was a little bit more successful than trying to transmute something else into it. There was limited success on a small scale, getting the crystal seeds about the size of your fist to roughly double in size. It took very controlled, precise, arcane laboratory conditions, and was largely regarded as impractical, but possible.
Then how are these forming here? Are there just gateways to the Feywild we're not aware of?
Well, maybe the knowledge of this base hasn't been updated in a long time.
But the knowledge must be after these crystals themselves formed here.
Well, these crystals, like the ones we're touching?
Yes. They're no different from the other mist glow that we've dealt with, except they glow a different color and they're not fucking things up. Wait.
But I thought they were conjured.
Is that what happened? They were summoned from the Feywild to here?
Were you summoned from the Feywild to here?
Summoned is an interesting term. The answer to that specific question is no. They weren't summoned. They were...
I got you.
Yeah.
Cam still asks that way.
Yeah.
I think I used the wrong word. Was that 3 for her? I think it was, right?
More than 3?
Yeah, that's 3.
That was 3, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than 3.
All right. Bonus question.
Bonus! I think it was just 4. Next turn, there's Learas. We can go in order.
I'll go ahead.
It's a rock.
I'll take the rock and I'll touch the crystal.
One of these days.
5.
Good.
Okay. I thought maybe it was under 5 or odds, and that just
I thought it was
both
odds.
of those theories. So, all right. How did these crystal formations come to be in the material plane?
So these ones in particular, there's a record of the construction of this archive, and it appears that these crystals were transported from the Feywild through a they were transported from the Feywild rather indirectly. There is a not too terribly far from here, there is a place where the barrier between the prime material plane and the Shadowfell is thin. It looks like they did a little bit of dimension hopping.
Interesting.
That's
But sorry to clarify, like, as this like gives me all the information, right?
Yeah.
So, like, was this literally someone picking it up and moving it?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Fal?
Didn't Elvatinde mention something along those lines regarding the portal and?
So regarding the information that Alvatende gave you about a Feywild portal is that her castle was built in ages long past by Fomorians who attempted to invade and conquer the Feywild at some point in the past.
Interesting.
And then it did not work. And they were twisted into the creatures that are known by that name today as a punishment for their arrogance.
I assume they did so in order to take over things like the Olmerite, but I don't know. How would one conjure Olmerite into the material plane?
I need you to make an Arcana check because it gives you an answer, but I'm not sure that Learas can understand it.
That's totally fair, and I understand, and I hate you. 16.
Okay, you're able to get most of it. It's weird because you are able to sort of retain this information that it gives you, but it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to you since you don't practice arcane magic. Like, it has imparted the recipe for a spell
Fair enough.
that you cannot cast onto
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, okay. Well, then he's just going to be like, oh, Wade, maybe you should have asked that question. There's an actual spell to do this. It might be worth burning a question if you can access that magic.
Well, how does this information, when it's imparted, is this like words? Is it like images? Is it sort of like a direct connection to the brain sort of thing?
It's oh yes.
I knew he was going to say yes.
Like, if you're just thinking a thought, is that word or images? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. It appears to be telepathic somehow, but it's not using language.
What else do you want to ask?
Good question. Oh, God, I don't... There's so much to ask. I just want to get the right questions. Oh, man.
And once you finish this crystal, you got 9 more questions.
I know.
Do we know what happened to all of like the giants that were here? It seemed like they were thriving, and then
No. And the problem is with that question is that it probably won't know because the giants that would have updated its information disappeared.
That.
If it happened all at once and suddenly.
That's true. Explain what happened in the last days of the giants who built this place.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, you receive a sort of like newsreel style briefing on the recent events in a war between Giantkin and Dragonkind.
Oh, we're going way back. Well,
We're going way back.
Okay. Is there any important details that I can glean from it that might kind of shed light on these underwater giants whose home was destroyed?
Yes, there is a little bit. It speaks of an attempt to capture a crystalline dragon that made its home in the peaks to the west.
Oh.
Well, they were successful. Someone was.
That dragon that you took from the board, was that crystalline?
Wasn't it? It certainly didn't look like a typical dragon.
I mean, I wasn't there, so.
Hard to say. Well, Brilliant and Baubles did give that back to you.
Oh, fair enough.
Statue of dragon, very clearly magical. Intricately detailed carving, some white crystalline material.
Oh.
Ooh. That's kind of chilling that that's connected to all of this. Oh my god. And it was in the freaking special projects annex that this thing knows nothing about. Like, oh, what is happening? That was my third question though, wasn't it?
That was number 3.
I was gonna ask it about the board that, or how to turn things into these little statuettes, like Learas just like slams the stone into Wade's hand and like crosses his arms. We have 12 questions left just to unravel everything.
So you wanted to ask, how would one conjure Omrite into the material plane? Can I ask what you want to get out of that question?
I want you to understand how to do the spell.
Do you want me to conjure Omrite into the material plane?
I want you to understand how to do it, because if there's a material component, we can track down whoever's hoarding it. If there's certain things we can look out for, like magic circles or ritual castings, or who knows. And if you can understand the notation of it, then perhaps we can literally check people's spell books. It's invaluable knowledge. Also, having the ability to conjure in something that can make you stronger suddenly, not a bad thing to have if we need it. I know it's risky, but everything we've been doing is dangerous.
Okay. I will reach out. What do we get here? D10. That's a 4. Hopefully nothing
All
bad.
good.
Huh? Okay. How would one?
What's going on, David? It's gonna be like just on a 1, but if you get a 1, it's like 900 lightning damage.
That is
no.
not what happened.
No. The thing is, the rolls, do they matter? Or is it like after we've asked like the X question, does something happen?
The hard
Who
drive
knows?
fails. Gets harder as it goes on.
How would one conjure Omerite into the material plane?
Yeah, and again, it much like it did to Learas, it just sort of projects arcane knowledge into your minds. It is functionally teaching you a spell right now. It's so make an Arcana check for him because this spell is higher level than the spells you can currently cast. So see if you can hold on to it.
It's an 11.
Oh no, buddy.
11.
I know, right?
It looks like you have inspiration on the overlay.
Oh, I did not
did
take
use
that off.
that.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
used
she
that
didn't
already.
take it off after I tried to use it in the magic circle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Somebody else grant me inspiration.
I
can I do it?
I
Am
can
allowed
guide
to?
you.
I mean, I don't think it'd be fair to do it for myself. We'll just take the roll as is.
No.
Right, you can always ask it again.
Look,
There
someone
you go.
granted inspiration.
Go for it.
And I've got 117,000 more stream points, so if you need any more, just let me know.
That's 22.
Yes!
There you go. Okay.
Twice
It's a
the
level
number,
12
twice
spell, so that's what you needed.
So this it's sort of feeding to you a modified version of the plane shift spell, essentially.
Makes sense, yeah.
You know, that is a 7th level spell. You can't quite cast it yet, but if you take some notes down, you might be able to. If you like spend some time, you know, writing down what you've learned before you take a long rest, let's say that, you know, when you get 7th level spells, you will know plane shift.
Do I know? Do I know what sort of material components go along with that?
Yes. So for this particular version, so it gives you the generalities of how to shift between planes, and then specifically how to pull something from another plane. You will need a piece of you'll need something attuned with the Feywild, and in addition to a hunk of Omerite.
Okay. Yeah, you need something attuned to the Feywild and a hunk of Omerite.
Okay, well, now we know what to look out for.
Should I ask about the white dragon? The white crystalline dragon?
Maybe. It's still in our possession, right? So perhaps knowing about it could help us to decide what to do with it.
Yes, whether it's good or evil.
Maybe you should just ask it everything it knows about the dragon.
Lore dump regarding the white crystalline dragon.
Lore dump, crystalline dragon.
You gotta phrase it as a question, Wade.
What information can you tell me about the white crystalline dragon during the giant dragonkin war?
All right, let me open these notes here.
Ooh, we're making them open notes.
The note just says
Crack
sexy
them open.
kobold.
This white crystalline dragon had an army of very sexy kobolds.
Very
Don't they
sexy
all?
kobolds.
So you learn a bunch of stuff about a crystalline dragon. Let's see. What am I going to feed you here?
Eat them real good. Fill them up.
You learn that they were developing wards against radiant energy to deal with its breath weapon. You learn reports that it seemed to be able to restore injuries that it had received in the act of release, like as part of the act of releasing its or unleashing its breath weapon. There's reports that it could call down starlight to fight for it.
Oh, this is where we learn that Cam's actually a draconic sorcerer.
And let's see.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Seeing if there's anything else that it could travel through earth and stone as though it were free air, but it seemed to be it was unable to breathe underwater for any appreciable length of time.
Ooh, maybe that's the whole reason we're even down here.
Yeah.
Although, on the other hand, I'm starting to build a theory.
And then you learn a little bit about the life cycle of crystalline dragons. That when they hatch, like how to identify like the different, they get more powerful as they get older, like all dragons. But the youngest dragons have like dull gray or like milky white scales, and as they age, the oldest crystalline dragons are like completely clear, like pure, no imperfections in the crystal that makes up their scales, to the point where sometimes they can be difficult to see because they just bend the light around themselves.
Interesting.
And the one that they were, worried about in the mountains was one of these ancient dragons.
Learas, you wanted to know something about how to miniaturize them, or did you want to know how to unminiaturize them, or should we just ask a general question about
that's Cam successfully unminiaturized Alvatinde.
It wasn't that hard, so I don't think we need that unless...
That's what I'm thinking. I guess I want to know if that's something that these giants developed, or how they do it. Is it that board somehow that does it? Though you've taken this dragon away, but Cam moved a piece off the board and that released Alvatinde, right? So I don't fully grasp it.
Well, I put the piece onto the board and that released Alvatinde. She was able to just go freely into the world outside of the room. Before, they were just kind of sitting along the edge of the board, and I placed one on.
Could I ask regarding that kind of research?
Need you to be a little bit more specific than that.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to word that.
How would one capture a powerful being into a small stone sculpture?
Tells you about a completely different thing.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. The weird thing is also a storm giant was captured that way.
Well, that's what I was thinking. There was a dragon and a giant there.
But, hear me out. This may seem crazy.
I can see the corkboard.
This group of giants are likely the ones that became the Fomorians.
Oh, because they're like from the sea or something. That's interesting.
I mean, the last thing they did was fought a dragon that, from all accounts, we can believe was good.
So in this lore dump of the dragon, would there be any way to glean the alignment of the dragon?
I mean, from everything that you can tell, this dragon is evil and an enemy and the scourge of the coast of the bay.
But to them,
To them,
those giants who have disappeared, and what giants do we know disappeared?
I mean, we could just unminiaturize a dragon and ask it, right? Right?
I mean, we could, but the problem is you put it on the board and you have no idea where in the real world it's going to pop up.
Well, we do. It pops up just outside of the... When I put the piece of the giant down on the map, I could see all the trees outside, and then Elvatende knocked one down and brought one with her, but then she walked off the map and off of the board.
I see. So it puts them
believe-
where the board is facing.
It's contained.
I believe it manifests in relation to where the board relates to the real world. It will place the creature there. As soon as the creature leaves
Okay. Then,
the confines of the board,
right. So it probably is the board. If one were to see someone in that space, they could take them off the board.
We could probably hold it, but I just watched it and let her walk away out of,
Right,
of the
okay.
board.
Then perhaps you could put the dragon on the board and I could talk to it.
The board is very far away from the outside, just so you know. So one of us would have to be over here while the others are facing a dragon.
I'm aware.
Okay.
I don't think this dragon is evil, despite what the archive thinks. I mean, divine starlight breath weapons that heal. It was certainly a problem for them, but I suspect that they are the evil. They're the same evil that infiltrated the Feywild, and they've been twisted as a result. And that's why Alvatinde, just like this dragon, was captured by them, because she probably stood against their tyranny.
It's true that I haven't really met anybody who does magic like mine that's trying to harm. So I guess I have, from other people's perspective, harmed them. So.
what? You knew of the dragon that was in the mountains, right?
I knew the dragon.
Or you knew of, right?
I'm
The
trying to...
Shinebringer?
Yes, I do know the Shinebringer.
Do you think this dragon is the Shinebringer?
I mean, crystal dragon. They're very... It seems like that's what that would be.
And in your recollection, was this dragon was the force of good, or not?
Would Cam know that?
Make a history check.
I have some general
I'm
notes.
adjusting
I
the
don't
DC.
like. Dragon called the mountain peak home. Occasionally persuaded to assist someone taking journey. I don't know if that was for the about the dragon or not.
16.
Yeah, generally you've heard tales of this this dragon being a helpful figure, somewhat mythologized a little bit. I'm furiously looking through my notes here. It wasn't just interested in the dragons have a reputation for like hoarding gold and valuables and things like that. This dragon that you've heard legends of would also it loved hoarding gemstones and shiny things and things that refracted light, but it would also, in exchange for a favor, take intangible things. It would take a thrilling story. It would take a thought-provoking conversation in exchange for its favors to add those to its hoard as well.
It seems like it would be, if this is the same dragon, then it would be up to a conversation. So I guess Elva Tende also was, but she got angry first. So
No, and it might not be the same dragon, but I feel like a rather huge favor would be to free it from its captivity as this miniature. I don't have a dragon miniature.
Is Wade pulling it out and looking at it?
Yeah.
Make a general. You can make an investigation check if you want, or just a general
Investigation. That's a 2 plus 7 is 9. Passive is a 17.
Okay, we'll
you-
go with that.
they were going to do something totally different there. It's like, and the knowledge of this dragon gets sucked into this thing you're touching.
So the dragon that was described by the Crystalline Archive was nearly translucent, reflecting light or refracting light around it as to be hard to look directly at. This statue that you're holding does not meet that description. It is crystalline and a dragon, but
Maybe
you know,
if they're not the same, maybe ask. Maybe it knows.
I guess I can test whether or not this archive has the ability to, like, see, like, if I could ask about this dragon, you know, right? That's what we're asking.
That sounds good. Tell me everything you know about this dragon.
What can you tell me about this dragon?
Interesting question. You hold up the statue to it, and it is not able to tell you. It is not able to call up any information about the item that you're holding in your hand.
Does a failed question count as a question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If it doesn't know the answer,
Yes.
it's still a question.
That is 3 questions from me.
Do we want to ask about Elva Tende's relationship with these giants?
That's probably a good idea to ask it about Alpha Tende. It'll certainly give us context.
And Elva Tende's real name was Amara Stradafus. right? Or what was that name?
That was the name of that was the
Shinebringer.
proper name.
Maybe we want to ask about that too.
You can do both. You've got
Okay.
3 chances.
Give me the rock. Coin. Just was we did 2 of them, so it'd be the last one
This is the
now.
last one.
Okay.
Our
set. You
last
got
9
more
questions.
She's all right. She's gonna place her hand on. She goes, "What can you tell me about
Roll a
Elvitan?"
D10.
Oh, yep. Where is this?
Don't get a 1.
Or do.
900 lightning damage.
7.
You're fine.
Okay. What can you tell me about Elvatende, the seer in the storm? It was in the storm, right? I think so.
It can tell you all of nothing about Alvatende.
Knows nothing.
She's after its time, I guess.
Oh, I do wish we would have asked Elvatende what her family name was. What can you tell me about Omar Stradafus, the Shinebringer?
It's just going to tell you everything it just told Wade.
Okay. I had to roll for that. It cannot tell you anything about a dragon by that name.
Alrighty then.
Interesting. Okay, well, we're ruling things out.
It told Wade about the crystalline dragon. We're under the impression that the one that we have is not the crystalline dragon and is the Shinebringer, probably.
Yes.
Notes.
But the elf who came... No, the elf that Elvatinde was mad at was one that this archive didn't know about?
It did.
It did know about him.
Yes. He had come here and accessed it.
Right, okay, so he's the one that accessed before the war.
Yep.
Okay, and that's the one she was mad at, and she was captured, and so was this crystal dragon, and he's connected to Fort Oss.
Yep.
Maybe ask it what it knows about anyone at the lords of Fort Oss. It might have been built after its time, but who knows?
I'll set you, I think from some of the history that you have already dug up about the war, you would know that, like, Alexos built the fortress.
I see.
Given the sort of timelines about the things that this archive doesn't know, it would probably be unlikely to know anything.
Fair enough.
What do you know about the Amatha lineage? This guy came here 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all you get about it is the same information it already knew about him trying to access it.
Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything about the Amath Peninsula near the Learas. Okay.
Damn. Well, 3 questions down, but we've ruled some things out. I'll take it. That's a 2.
I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Okay. I'm gonna use my inspiration for this.
18.
A 3.
Nice.
Oh my god.
I got a nat 20
Nice.
plus 0. So 20.
I have so many pages of notes open now. Where's the one that explains what this does? There it is. Okay. So, Wade, unfortunately, you did not make the DC. Everybody else
Hi,
did.
guys. It's nice knowing you.
Oh man, you were gonna ask questions after me. Quick, roll
That's
a
all
new
you're good.
character. Hi guys, I'm Blade.
Please take 22 points of lightning damage.
Please.
If you saved, you take 11. If you have the transmuter stone, half it again.
5. Yay!
All
I
right.
take the least damage for the first time in anything we've done.
Yeah, as you go to access this, it starts to glow like the other ones did, but it keeps glowing and glowing, gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and crackles, and the arcs of arcane electricity just explode out of it throughout the room.
So sorry guys, that probably hurt. I conduct electricity really well, so it didn't hurt me that much, but it probably went right through me into you. So sorry about that.
Yeah, that wasn't very pleasant.
Does Wade need to make a concentration save to keep controlling the water in this room?
It does not require concentration.
Oh right, you said that. Yeah.
Which is very good.
It's convenient, yeah. Not about to be crushed by tons of water hitting us. But I can still proceed?
Yes.
All right.
I'll just cast the tiny hut real quick again.
You
Sit in
know,
there.
That's not the worst idea in the world.
I completely forgot what my first question was going to be now. Shit.
Electricity to the brain will do that to you.
Yeah, it kind of messes up your thought process a little bit.
So you were asking about dragons, you were asking about Alvatende, you were asking about the Amatha family lineage.
Right, I remember. Tell me about plans to conquer the Feywild.
Interesting. Yeah, so you make just I'll say, let's call it an insight check.
Okay, I can do that. That's going to be a 20.
Very nice. More notes pages. So you get what is, from your perspective, very apparently like propaganda about this attempt to conquer the Feywild. You learn that, you know, Fomorians, unlike other elves, and you get like some of this again, like a wartime reporting reel style information. These giants look like elves that are 25 feet tall. They don't have that like highly muscular build that other giants have.
That's interesting.
And you learn that, you know, before the Fomorian Empire fell, they fit themselves in the ordering based on achievements of knowledge and arcane prowess, rather than feats of strength and craftsmanship like other giants do. And you know, there's this propaganda about, to secure their place in the ordering, we have learned everything that can be learned on the material plane. And to continue to please Karantor, which is, I believe you learned that was the deity that they revered, they needed to depart for other planes to gather more knowledge. And this is like sort of the purpose behind the invasion of the Feywild.
Interesting. Well, he relays that and says, these were the Fomorians. So far, I'm like 3 for 3 for theories here.
Do we want to ask about... See, maybe it wouldn't have that information.
Sir, well,
The professors, Alden Locke.
oh, they're
the
far
peop-
too recent.
But I wonder, were they here too?
Maybe.
No, because if
If
you
they
said in
were,
the
they
last
wouldn't need
10
to be
years,
researching it, right? They.
Yeah, this would have given them a lot more information than it sounded like they had.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's one of them at least is still kicking around and hasn't published a damn thing. That elf, what was his name again? The one that Elvatinde's mad at that came here and accessed the
Vamir.
Vamir?
Yeah.
Sorry to do this.
Vamir.
Thank you. Sorry to do this to you again, David. I'm sure you hate this question. What did Vamir ask about? Give me. I would like a log of his transactions, please.
Yeah.
Receipt, please.
The sorts of questions that he asked were very similar to the sorts of questions that Jacob Amatha asked.
Right.
But his was more focusing on the necromantic angle rather than the transmutative angle, whereas Jacob Amatha's questions, you gather, was like weaving the two together.
Right.
Do we want to know about the name that the rats mentioned? The Solluvian.
Ooh, yes, we do. But sorry, as it's going through these things about Vamir, does anything come up about capturing, like anything related to that board that I might be able to be like, oh, that's how we figured this out? Or
good question. Specifically, no.
okay, all right. So I don't know, something he found or something someone else gave him, maybe. No idea. What was that thing called? Solluvian?
Yeah.
I think I was
This is
so.
number 3 for you.
What's that?
This is number 3, I believe.
Yes, this is my third one. Oh man.
Ask it if you can have 3 more questions.
No. It will tell me no, and that'll be my last question.
You may not. Or it says yes tomorrow.
That's totally what we do. It was quite the shot.
Who or what is the Solluvian?
Very good question. It does not have much information.
Something. I'm happy about that.
Solluvian. But there was... This is very important that I get these notes right. Yes. Roughly 75 years ago, there is an access record of an entity identifying itself as Solluvian that came here and interfaced with these crystals.
Sorry, how many?
75.
Roughly 75.
Okay. That's okay. That lines up with everything that I'm mad about.
And you are presented with an image of an incredibly alien creature with a long cylindrical body that breaks out it kind of starts looking like a fish, but then it breaks out into a bunch of tentacles, with one long one with a I can't remember the technical name for like tail flipper. We'll call it that. At the end, it's got a large in the front of its body. It has a large cylindrical mouth with sharp, terrifying looking teeth, many rows of them, and most strangely, 3 eyes on its forehead in a vertical line running up its face.
Okay, I'm gonna take issue with the most strangely out of all the things you just
That's fair.
described.
That's fair. I'm kind of winging this description here.
No, you're good.
No, I agree. That is the weirdest thing. Like, vertical line of eyes is weird as fuck. You don't see that in anything ever.
And you do see a tail flipper that also has a bunch of tentacles coming off of it.
It's surrounding it. Like the
Like
tail
it's
flipper's
hurt.
on the end of the longest tentacle.
That's not that weird to me. I mean, he's weird as fuck, but like, I'm like, okay, I
Apparently
get.
Learas is like,
see-
I've seen this before. My cousin was born with one.
I dated a girl with the exact same setup. It was fine.
Surprise! Your son.
No. No, 75 years ago, it can't be.
It quickly aged. It's like a Benjamin Button situation.
You guys are fucking ridiculous. Oh man.
So you guys, this is me going off about your fish baby.
All right, my wife is ridiculous. That's the fucking crazy person. That is awesome and terrifying, and I hate it. And this guy is behind everything, and I'm going to stab him so hard.
Yeah, because weren't those robes? Wait, no, that was a different thing.
Well, there's something about those robes in 75 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's same, but you know.
What school of magic was that guy specialized in? Oh, divination, I guess, right?
Amasa?
Yes.
Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did he join the hall? Does anyone know?
Looks that Wade.
Do I know that?
I don't know if you know specifically when he joined, but you know that, he's like a human in like his 40s. So it couldn't have been 75 years ago.
If he is who he says he is, and he's a human of approximately 40 years of age, it could not have been that long ago.
Which, always a valid concern.
Yeah, I mean, he could just be fucking really good at illusion shit. We don't know.
Asking about necromancy here, and not.
Because he already
His
mastered
own-
illusion. I don't know. We have so much we have to figure out still, and that's the last of my questions. We've learned a lot, but Wade, last 3 are in your hands. Hands them the stone, even though we now know it'll hit everyone anyway.
Well,
Although Wade did
I'm
take the
gonna-
most damage,
It will
so
give him resistance.
We'll give
Which-
him resistance.
yeah.
I can't.
Are you okay, by the way? Do
Is
you
it-
need healing?
No,
Do you need to be healed?
That's
that
pretty
hurt a
big,
lot. That hurt a lot.
I mean, it was only 22.
He's a wizard.
Yeah, and did he take damage in the last
On
fight?
average, I take like 22 damage a round.
You're welcome. It was a gift.
I'm gonna give you a
Oh,
healing word
I
as I
already
hand the
did.
stone. You bitch. I'm doing it anyway.
Okay,
So
well, you
like
get
that.
15 from me.
Alright.
We'll see whose is better.
Well, yours is gonna be better. I'm not a fucking cleric. You get 6 from me.
Okay, okay.
That's
I'm
almost all of
back
it.
to normal.
So
Yeah. All right.
Dispel alarm.
Okay. I guess I can. I don't know.
And now you have resistance too.
Okay.
It's
One
a-
more shot.
Zap.
Ah, God. That's a 1. Is that good?
Nope. Deck saves, please. You gather that perhaps the more these are used, the more they're likely to malfunction.
I got another
Herald-
20.
I got an
Nice.
18.
Nice.
I also got an 18. Is that good?
That passes. So so that would be
500 damage.
Yeah, he rolled all ones last time.
no, that would be 30 points of lightning damage.
So 15.
15 and then halved again for
So 7 for Wade.
to 7
Yeah.
as it just again.
Okay.
And I think I'm trying to get some of this.
I think you're just getting in your head a little bit.
All right, let's get them questions, Wade.
I gotta roll again, right?
No.
Okay. What am I asking anyway? I don't even.
Do you have any good recipes?
Dragon. That's a great question. Just scroll through my notes for.
Ask it where the most powerful ancient Triton artifacts are. Or if this is crucial to our mission.
Right, and the Merc, and I don't even know. Asked it so much already.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've gotten everything we can from like recent events. Think big picture way back. What are things that we could learn right now that can actually help us deal with whatever it is we're dealing with?
Yes, trying to find a way to word, like, besides dispel magic, like if it knew of ways of like breaking a connection between Omerite and another plane.
Or being. We don't know that the being's in another plane.
We knew there was a connection to another plane with the Omerite, though. Which is, I guess,
yeah,
why
I think that's it coming from the Feywild, personally. But you're right. Plane, let's say plane or entity, because both are helpful.
How to word that? How to break the connection between Omerite and another magical.
I mean, you can say or. Plane or entity.
Plane or entity. There we go.
Yeah, so some information comes back about, like, warning, do not cast Dispel Magic on Omerite. It will render it less useful. Like, don't do this. It's just, like, for your, like, do not use toaster and bathtub kind of, like, warning label.
Yeah, that's their propaganda. That's fine.
And then, as far as with a specific creature, the only information that it is able to find regarding Omerite and being bound to a specific creature is a method to imprison creatures in a small chunk of it, and there's some directions on how to undo that. You basically will need like the most powerful dispelling effort that you can muster in order to successfully free an imprisoned creature from being trapped inside a crystal. It's not necessarily specific to Omerite. There's some talk of, you can use diamonds, you could use a large ruby. Rubies work good for fiends. That sort of arcane discussion.
So is this dragon?
Maybe. But what does it say about planes?
Basically, it's like if you cast a powerful dispelling on this, it will like sever some of the latent connection between the Feywild, and that can be kind of explosive. It's like basically stuff that you've seen before.
So don't cast dispel magic.
Yeah, unless you really want to.
and it doesn't have any other methods of breaking those connections.
I will say it goes on to describe some of the dangerous things that can happen if you cast dispel magic on this crystal, especially if it's magically charged and being used for something. And it's things like, it can blind the user. It can cause some of the user's memories to be altered. It can cause time to flow strangely. But most of these descriptions of things that can happen when you dispel it are not things that you have seen happen when it dispels. The transmutation of the water, and the bending and like mutating of the rock around that, it doesn't make any sort of mention of that. It doesn't make any sort of mention of the crystalline, or like the lightning in a bottle sort of rock formation that appeared when you dispelled the piece in the well.
So don't cast dispel magic, but we don't have any other thing to offer you, so cast it anyway.
Yeah. It's basically, it's like, don't do it, because why would you want to do that? And I'll say one other thing that you have all noticed. In any of the questions about this crystal, it is this sort of bluish white color. At no point is any of this purplish business made mention to.
Maybe ask it about what would cause it to become purple. Would ask it anything it knows about purple Amorite? Amorite?
Or maybe not just purple. Is there anything like, since it amplifies magically, does it just take on different properties of things and become different? Because what if we come across a different color than it?
True, but purple is the one we've been dealing with. Maybe it's better to know more information about that.
So we know that Solluvian accessed the records, right?
Yes.
We don't know generally what Solluvian asked of the records, of the archives. Would that be a thing to know? Because that was your last question. Who or what is a Solluvian?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
When we asked about Amatha and Vamir.
I do definitely want to know about the purple Homerite, though. Are we okay with those two things being our last questions?
Yeah.
I think that's good. So should I ask what kind of magic would cause Homerite to turn purple? I feel like that's too generic and might not give us the information we're looking for.
It might not give us what we need. What is the significance of purple Homerite? Maybe it might give us more details.
Or should I ask, like,
I was able to ask
regarding...
and questions. You could just say, what is the significance of purple amarate and what does it do? Or how is it made that way?
Yeah, I'll ask that. What is the significance of purple amarite, and how is amarite turned purple?
Okay. Let's see. Could you just roll a d20 for me?
No, it's not.
D20. Roll 18.
Okay. It's sort of it takes it a moment to respond. And you get back, it appears like some information is partially corrupted. Hard to say why. It's old. But there's nothing specific about turning it purple. There are some... It goes back to some of the research papers that were written about trying to grow Amarite from a seed crystal. And part of the difficulty in causing it to grow is that it would destabilize and eventually sort of crack and crumble under itself and turn kind of this like dull green color. Nothing specific about purple.
Hmm. So it just doesn't know. So it's a recent thing. All right. Then yeah, maybe a list of what Solluvian asked about is our best bet at this point.
Which was the Solluvian creature attempting to garner from the archives.
Okay, I'll have you roll another d20 for me.
Okay. Here we go. That's a 9.
That's a 9. Again, you get kind of start like short bursts of imagery, partial ideas. It seems like there was some effort made to erase some things from this archive at some point. Not entirely successful. A little bit more successful on this particular topic, but the one thing with certainty that you do get back is Solluvian was requesting information about other ruins like this one left by the Fomorian Empire.
So he was trying to... It was trying to find other ruins left by the Empire. Does that tell me about other ruins, about their locations or such?
Alas, it does not.
Fuck.
Cool.
All right. And 27 questions later, it's 9:20 Eastern Standard Time.
Let's do it. Let's give the title of this episode
27
questions.
Yeah.